targeted prospecting on LinkedIn that generates results.
And welcome again to LinkedIn to Lead Generation with Hannah Tai, our LinkedIn expert. Hannah, we're in the midst of our 4-part series talking about how people can increase response rates and receptiveness when they're working on LinkedIn to generate those leads. And today you said we're talking about targeted prospecting. So tell me a little bit about that. What are we going to cover?
Okay, so we're going to talk, instead of most people who just go and will randomly connect to everybody, right? We want to really focus down on our ideal client, and we want to do that by using the advanced search, okay? Because that makes it super easy and fun, and we can just go ahead and put in all the little things that we should have done beforehand, right? We know what location we want, we know what industry we like to work in, right? Where our target prospects are. We know the company size that we, can best benefit, and the title of the person that we actually want to connect with within an organization. So you can actually put those into the fields. You also want to make sure that when you're doing that, you put in your second-degree connections. Okay, that's the little, you can see how you're connected in that little search field there. And you want to make sure that's what you check, okay? And the reason why you want to do that is because if you check that, it will showcase all the people that you're not connected to, but that your connections are connected to, and that they can then make that introduction for you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So, again, so the first key to success here is you got to identify that perfect prospect using these tools as you have so eloquently just described. Awesome. So let's move on then to your second bullet point, which was, that you can use your current clients to help with this process. So how does that work? How do you recommend we do that on LinkedIn?
Yeah, so hopefully your current clients are your ideal clients, right? Or at least you have a couple that you really love working with, hopefully, right?
Which ones do you want to clone, right?
Yeah, if not, then definitely they should be talking to you guys. But if you do have that, what you want to do is, if you're doing a great job for them, then you can actually go into their profile, okay? And there is a little search function there with the big magnifying glass there, where you click on their connections. If it's blue, you click on that. You can see the search bar with the little magnifying glass, and you can type in that title that you've already identified because you've done your homework, right?
Right.
You put that in, and you can see all the people that have that title that are in their network, and then
that are in your client's network. So
your client's network, yeah.
Okay. Right.
And you can say, like, hey Jen, really have so much enjoyed working with you. Would you mind, a brief introduction to this person, because I really think that, I can benefit them. I've noticed that they're doing X, Y, Z, and I have a new program that will really, oh my goodness.
Exponentially, yes.
Exponentially. Exponentially, grow their business or whatever.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's a great. I don't think I've ever done that, but it makes perfect sense. So if you've got an ideal client, you want more of them. Well, odds are your ideal client hangs out with people like themselves, right?
Exactly.
In some sense, and so they're going to have some of those connections right there on LinkedIn. So you pull up their profile, you click on that little magnifying glass, and then you start sorting through and searching through there. Awesome. And now you've got a happy customer, hopefully. If it's your ideal client, they're happy working with you as well. Right. So, yeah, why wouldn't they make the introduction? That sounds great.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's take it to another level then. So that's going one person at a time individually for targeting using your ideal client. Your third point is that you can use groups in a similar way. So how do I use groups on LinkedIn to kind of deepen my search for my next ideal client?
Right. So if you are actually a member of a group, what you can do is, and again, you really want to be strategic about the groups that you're in, right? So not only do you want to have your industry groups that you learn from, but also you want to think about where your ideal client may be hanging out, okay? And you want to go in and you want to really do some work in those groups where you're adding and sharing to the conversation, adding value. And then what you can do is, once you've established yourself as someone who contributes and adds value, you can go into the members section. And again, when you pull up members, when you pull up the group, there's a section that says members, and you can actually, again, put in the title of the person that you typically sell to. And then you will get a list of those people that fit that criteria, that title.
The other people that are in the group, right?
That are in the group.
Okay.
And you can then start, reaching out to them, either, through commenting on some of the discussions that they're having in groups, or you can just, give them a quick message directly and say, hey, listen, obviously I'm very active in this group. I've seen you talk about this, that, or the other thing. I actually have a webinar coming up that you might find helpful. But again, always make sure that it's really targeted to something that they would really be interested in. You're not just doing some generic webinar, or, they've never expressed interest, or, whatever. You really want to be careful, because you can really get yourself in a lot of trouble. But if you think that there's something significant that you can contribute, or maybe they've said something in the group and you've answered, but then you can message them and say, hey, listen, I know you asked about this. I actually have some specific strategies. Love to talk to you for 5 minutes.
Right, and what's obvious in everything you're always saying is that, this isn't about, joining a group and then just kind of spamming everybody on the list. I mean, if I hear you, I do hear you very carefully making all these important points, which is engage in the group, participate, be a valuable member of the group first. And as you even reach out to those individual people that, like you're just saying, you've searched them, find a personal connection, something they've said, something in their profile, something relevant, so that you're always delivering value. Because otherwise people just say, oh yeah, that's a great idea. I'll just I'll join a bunch of groups and I'll just go reach out to everybody. Well, you're not advising that, because you've told us before about the fact that makes you the creepy, kind of person who nobody wants to hear from, right? So
exactly, yes.
Excellent. Well, these have been some great tips, Hannah. We've been talking, this is our 4-part series on how you can overall increase your response rates and receptiveness on LinkedIn. This episode, we were talking about targeting your prospecting. Don't just randomly connect with everybody. Figure out exactly who you want to connect to. So we talked about identifying that perfect prospect, then using your existing connections with people who are your ideal client to find who they're connected to and seeing if you can work out an introduction there that makes sense. And then the groups that you belong to, making sure you're searching in those groups, finding like-minded people who are matching that profile of your ideal client, delivering some value first, and then trying to connect to them and say, hey, I've got something that I think you'll like, right? Did I get that right, Hannah?
You did. You're such a great student, Mark. I love it.
I'm paying attention, Hannah. I am paying attention, absolutely. And you should be paying attention to Hannah, too. Listen, I got to tell you, I learned tons by doing these little interviews with Hannah. My LinkedIn proficiency has gone through the roof. You need to connect with Hannah as well, and she lives at chatterboxsocialmedia.com, at least on the web. You can connect with her there. You can get on her mailing list so that you don't miss all this great content that she's creating. It's right there for you. Tons of episodes, but this 4-part series is still coming at you with a few more episodes. You want to increase your response rates on LinkedIn, receptiveness in your connections with people, then you want to make sure you don't miss out. So connect with Hannah at chatterboxsocialmedia.com. And Hannah, we will be back again with another episode in this series. So until then, I am looking forward to what you're going to teach me.
Thanks, Mark.